Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Before we get started, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next video.
Question period continues today in one of the most heated exchanges that we've seen in a while between the Conservatives and the Liberals. Let's take a look.
13 years. Why have they never done anything about it? 10 years ago, the dictatorship in Beijing gave the Trudeau Foundation $200,000. They then interfered in 2 elections to help keep the Liberals in power. They've even helped campaign for certain Liberal candidates. And what's the solution now? The Prime Minister proposes a secret committee. They will do a secret investigation with secret outcomes. Mr. Speaker, this committee will follow the rule of Fight Club. First rule is no one talks about the committee.
You do not talk about
committee.
Club.
Why is the Prime Minister trying so hard to keep everything so secret?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition knows very well that our government has taken very robust measures to protect democratic institutions from foreign interference. Last night, the Prime Minister announced additional measures that will reassure Canadians not only, Mr. Speaker, that our democratic institutions are protected from foreign interference, but those who seek to interfere with these very institutions will be held to account. And that's something, Mr. Speaker, the previous Conservative government did absolutely nothing about.
Okay, so, Honourable Minister, please explain to all of us Canadians, maybe we're just too dumb to understand, but last I checked, in order to hold someone to account, in order to even determine if they should be held to account, there needs to be an investigation. And as we saw the other day, the RCMP is investigating none of the allegations about election interference. The only thing that they're investigating is the whistleblowers and CSIS that actually brought all this to light. So, don't give Canadians that BS about calling people to account and holding them accountable, because it is just a straight out Liberal lie.
The Liberals haven't held themselves to account the entire last 8 years. Look at the WE scandal. Look at the CERB overpayments. Look at the Emergencies Act.
They fired an admiral. He fired one of his own ministers for speaking out about corruption. They seem to want to hold to account people that are against corruption, but keep everybody in power on their side that is for corruption and for keeping the truth from Canadians and for election interference and for receiving lots of money from China to help get elected.
Nothing that they have done incorrectly, that they have done wrong, has been held to account. It's just been explained away.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, I forgot to mention, other than the secret committee that will see secret information and never actually publish any information, there will also be something called a rapporteur, a fake new position that they have invented. Rapporteur. Does it come with a costume? Maybe a cape and a sword? Is the best they can come up with a fake position doing fake work? Why is it that they're trying to cover up the truth, Mr. Speaker?
Wow, Pierre. And he's not wrong. I'll tell you, we were actually looking up what a special rapporteur was because I had never ever heard of that. And it's interesting, after Justin Trudeau talks about a special rapporteur, all of the news media starts, using the term like they know what it is. If you look it up, it's actually a special investigator that makes a report related to human rights. Like, that's the only definition that we could really find, but it's almost always referred to as an investigation regarding human rights. This has nothing to do with human rights. It has to do with election interference. So I'm not surprised that Pierre took issue with that. I am a little surprised at the way he took issue with that, but I think it was brilliant.
The Honourable Minister for Parliamentary Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, we didn't need another reason to see that the Leader of the Opposition has never taken this issue seriously.
Never.
In fact, yesterday, Mr. Speaker, he said something that was shocking. When I pointed out to him that this has existed as a challenge to Canadian democratic institutions, including when he served as Minister of Democratic Reform, he said, of course the previous Conservative government did nothing about it because it wasn't in their partisan advantage to do anything about it. Think about that, Mr. Speaker. Protecting our democracy is not a partisan issue, it's a Canadian issue.
Okay, so I take issue with that because that is completely twisting what Pierre had said the other day. This is what he said.
Well, we didn't have to because the dictatorship, the communist dictatorship in Beijing was not helping the Conservative Party get elected.
And it's nothing like what was called out here. So that's a dangerous game if you're going to try and twist something on somebody for what they said, especially when all of this is on camera and all of this is recorded. So nice try, but I don't think it landed.
Yeah, but that's what the left does. Typical left, typical liberals. They're always going based on feelings, not on facts.
Emotional damage.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Why won't the Prime Minister stand up today and answer a question? Why is he hiding? Why won't he stand in his seat? What is he hiding from Canadians that he stands behind this substandard minister? He's been hiding this for 10 years, Mr. Speaker. Whatever it is that he's hiding, it must be bad. It must be really bad. How bad is it?
It's escalating. Substandard minister. Well, he has substandard answers, so I don't know if I can blame him for calling him a substandard minister.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it is the height of irresponsibility when talking about national security to talk about the fact that national security should just be set aside, that we should just to open up this as if it could be done. Mr. Speaker, it is not something that I think is being responsible. Responsible leadership is saying that every member of this House, every single member of this House is totally and utterly committed to protecting Canadian democracy. The assertion that anything else is true is offensive, untrue, and playing games with national security is not appropriate.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Again, feelings over facts. We're offended. Oh my God. Because they have no defense.
No, it's we don't have a response for you, so we're going to use our silver bullet, the we're offended card. So you better back off because we're offended. That's great. Welcome to adult life where you can be offended all you want. It doesn't make you right. And you're in Parliament, and for you to say that all of us are committed to, responsible leadership. Hello, look at your Prime Minister and what he's done over the last 10 years.
And now he's hiding. He can't even answer for what he's done.
Well, if the Prime Minister really was interested in protecting national security, he wouldn't be hiding. He'd stand up right now and answer the question. Instead, he hides behind these two stooges who protect him.
Oh!
Okay,
Oh.
Speaker's pissed.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a little unprofessional. I get it, but come on.
Speaker is pissed.
Yeah, come on, Pierre. You're better than that.
On both sides, order. Order. I want to remind the honourable members two things. One, please use parliamentary language and be judicious. And two, we can't do indirectly what we can't do directly in the House. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition from the top, I'm sure he'll use both principles in his questions. Thank you.
Stooges is not parliamentary language, I guess.
But you can say it here, though. Those guys are stooges.
So I guess you can act like a stooge in Parliament. You just can't say that they're a stooge. Got it. That's government for you.
Prime Minister was hiding yesterday from the House. He's hiding today in the House. He's hid for the last 10 years.
once again, I want to remind the honourable members that we can't do directly what we, or indirectly, what we can't do directly. Now, I don't want to have to move to the next question. I'm sure the honourable member from the beginning, and he would use parliamentary judgment. The honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Prime Minister has been hiding this for the last 10 years. 10 years ago, he found out that the Trudeau Foundation got $200,000. Over the last 5 years, he's had briefing after briefing warning of interference by Beijing in our elections to support him. And now he's hiding the truth behind a secret committee that will not provide public information. Whatever he's hiding, it must be bad. It must be really bad. How bad?
The Honourable Leader, Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the member across, the Leader of the Official Opposition, would know well where the Prime Minister is today. He's meeting with the President of the European Commission to talk about national security issues.
Order. 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 I just want to remind me. Order.
Is he in a pizza shop, or are we in, the parliamentary house? Because he keeps yelling order.
Hey, Fry, pizza going out. Come on.
Order.
Resign.
Order. I want to remind the honourable members that there's one thing that they cannot do is refer to either the presence or the absence of someone in the chamber. I will let the honourable Government House Leader start from the top, please, and I'm sure he'll be judicious in his words.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And of course, that question was asked despite you saying that it was unparliamentary several times. I want to put as a matter of record. But let me say this, Mr. Speaker, and be very clear. Well, one of the things that we had as a long tradition in this country was to make sure that when we were dealing with national security, that we did not use national security as a way to play partisan politics and to grind an axe on one another. Mr. Speaker, the reality is that this issue of foreign interference has been a serious issue since well before this government. It was a matter that was that the honourable that the member across was responsible for as a minister. They did not take action. We have
Honorable député de la Prairie.
So I guess that guy is taking speech lessons from Trudeau. And he's talking out of his ass. I'm sorry. He's saying, well, they're trying to make national security a partisan issue. What do you think you're doing?
Yeah, you guys are the ones refusing to do an open and honest and public inquiry. You guys are the ones making it a partisan issue. It's all the other parties in the House against you guys.
Well, and you can't just wave around national security whenever you like and use that to shield Canadians from what they deserve to hear. Sorry, you can't do that.
Canadians deserve answers.
Like, obviously, if we're talking about something like special ops, or we're talking about something like foreign, counterintelligence and espionage and that sort of thing, we get it. There's certain things that can't be discussed in front of cameras, but we're talking about our elections. It's what Canadians participate in. It's what is used to determine who runs our country. You're damn right we deserve to know what happened.
The honourable member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, yesterday at a press conference on Chinese meddling, the Prime Minister showed that once again he hasn't understood a thing. We wanted a public inquiry. Public. He gives the job to a committee that's bound by secrecy. That's not public. That's secret. We wanted an independent investigation. Independent. The Prime Minister appoints a special rapporteur, chosen by him, answerable to him, who reports to him. There's nothing independent about that. Why does the Prime Minister refuse to set up an independent public commission of inquiry?
I think we all know the answer to that, unfortunately.
The Honourable Minister.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister was crystal clear yesterday. Since we took office, we took strong steps to counter foreign meddling in our elections. We also are going to appoint a special rapporteur to investigate all of these issues transparently and make recommendations to the government as to the next steps that we will continue to take to reassure Canadians that our elections are free and democratic and that everyone in this place was legitimately elected by Canadians. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, what the Liberals don't get is that this is not about the opposition versus the government. It's not about one party against another. It's about public confidence in our elections.
Bingo.
This guy gets it.
I'm liking the block more and more every day. He's 100% bang on with what he's saying. Like, look at what Trudeau was complaining about. Oh, you know, I could say whatever I can, you know, to try and tell Canadians that they should trust our elections and they won't believe me. You should think long and hard about that, Justin. Like, really long and hard, because you know what that means? Canadians don't trust you. And if Canadians don't trust the person that's leading their country, that's a big problem, my friend. A big problem.
And it goes beyond just politics. When people start to lose hope, bad things happen. Crime goes up, poverty goes up, all sorts of horrible stuff happens.
What we need to know is if the deck is already stacked. If we can't assess the integrity of our elections in a transparent way, honestly, we're in big trouble. We're straying into Banana Republic territory here, with all due respect for bananas. What's it going to take for them to set up a public and independent commission of inquiry?
I thought Banana Republic was like a teen clothing store.
No, it's an actual term. And the thing is his joke was so funny. The Liberal minister is actually chuckling about it. Yeah, with all due respect to bananas, damn right. And this is the thing. There's going to be no trust. Like, they're going to waste all this time and all this money, and the amount of confidence it's going to gain from the average Canadian is zero. Why? Because they didn't trust you before. So what makes you think they're going to trust you after you choose the investigation type, you choose the guy that's going to head it, you choose how it's going to be laid out, and then you choose what gets released to Canadians? Nobody trusts you. Nobody trusts you. So the only way that you can actually gain trust is if, as we said before, if the Liberals, the NDP, the Bloc, and the Conservatives all got together and they all agreed upon who the investigator was going to be and what the scope was going to be and how it was going to be conducted. That's the only way that this works, and the only way that Canadians are going to trust what happened. And this should be something that the Liberals should be absolutely agreeing to if they've done nothing wrong.
The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we share precisely the same concern that my colleague opposite expressed in terms of reassuring Canadians, as we've done since taking office, to reassure Canadians that our intelligence services are effectively collecting intelligence and that we are protecting our system. Since we took office, we've taken further steps, and that's precisely what the Prime Minister announced last night as well.
Yeah, your intelligence teams are doing actually a bang-up job of collecting intelligence. The problem is you're not listening to it. You're not doing anything about it, and they don't trust that you will. Hence, they've actually had to break the law and leak it to the media so that Canadians know about what's going on.
We deserve to know what's going on with our democracy.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South. The allegations of foreign meddling are serious and disturbing, and that's why we called for a public inquiry at committee. We want a public and independent process. Why is the Prime Minister not respecting those two criteria? The Honourable Minister.
You know the reason for that, Jagmeet.
Why are you propping up his minority? You can revoke your support at any time. What are you waiting for?
Again, the cards are in Jagmeet's hands. He could actually force Trudeau to do whatever he wanted right now. He could tell him, listen, if he really wanted to, if he really wanted a public inquiry and he wanted the answers, he could say, listen, Trudeau, you better do this, or I'm going to call up Pierre and we're going to call a non-confidence vote right now.
Something tells me, and again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but something tells me that might be where this whole special rapporteur thing came from. That this was like a compromise between what the opposition is calling for and what Justin was willing to do. Nothing. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out.
Mr. Speaker, I obviously appreciate the question from the leader of the NDP. We share the concern that all people here should share about the importance of strengthening our democratic institutions. That's precisely what we've done since taking office. Yesterday, the Prime Minister announced further steps, extra steps, to add to those protections. We understand the need to do this transparently and openly, and that is exactly what we will keep doing.
Député de Burnaby Sud.
If the Prime Minister really wanted to restore the confidence of Canadians, he would call a public inquiry. Here's the situation. We've got a Conservative Party that only cares about playing political games with something as so serious as our democracy. New Democrats understand that this is serious and it's not an opportunity to play political games. That's why we demanded a public inquiry in committee. There's two criteria that we have. The process has to be independent and it has to be public. Now, will the government confirm that their process will answer questions about what the Prime Minister knew, when he knew it, and what he did about it?
You called for the public inquiry after the Conservatives did. What are you talking about, Jagmeet?
Yeah, how is this? I mean, like, yeah, it's political, it's politics, but like, it's for the Canadian population. It's not for posturing. It's so we know what's going on with our democracy. Like, Pierre's not doing it just to. I don't even know what kind of point Jagmeet's trying to make. It makes no sense.
I don't think he even reads the news. I don't think he reads the news, because if he did, he would have seen the Conservatives to demand a public inquiry for this. And it was only until like a day or two later that the NDP put out this piddly little article that said, well, we call for a public inquiry. So when the Conservatives do it, it's political games. When you do it, it's because you care. Right.
Like, his comment is so asinine, I don't even know what to say to it.
Well, I know what to say, and that's get off my screen, Jagmeet.